Hey guys, so MKC here again, and I'm going to do a review on this. It's a Sanrenmu rescue knife, which I guess is the intended idea, but I just have it around the workshop because I have no use for the rescue functions. And I don't really like this knife that much, to be honest, which is why I don't carry it at all. So I'll get into why I don't really like it and why you shouldn't buy it, because at this point there's a better version of this. At least it seems like it. I'm going to order the better version and see if it's actually any better. But for now, I'm just going to let you know why I don't like this. But anyway, this is the Sanrenmu 7056. I bought this on some flash deal on Gearbest where this was like half price off its usual ridiculously low sale price. So it was something like $6 or $7. And I'm like, well, 6 or 7 Canadian. So all my US viewers, all one of you. That's like what, $3 or something, so you can't really pass this thing up for that much. But anyway, like, it's decent at what it does, but I'll get into that. So the handle is G10 and it feels pretty good. It's got a decent amount of grip, but it's not overly aggressive. Could be a little grippier, to be honest, but whatever. There's a few versions of this, different handle variations, and versions with and without the flipper. I'll get into why, if you do order this, don't buy the one with the flipper. Glass breaker tip. I don't know if it works or not, and I'm not buying a piece of glass just to break to see if it does work, but it probably works. I don't know. These aren't terrible quality, so I bet it probably works. Hit it hard enough. It's got a couple of integrated non-locking tools. The blade locks, though. It sounds like it locks, but it actually doesn't. It's not a slip. It's kind of a slip joint, but not really. It's kind of just a tight fit. Maybe it has a detent ball. I'm not really sure. I haven't opened this up. But can opener slash bottle opener. It's meant to be a can opener, but you can use it to open a bottle in a pinch. And that one's a lot harder to get out than this one for some reason. I think I loosened them a little bit, and this one just is a little not as nice, but whatever. Rope cutter slash seatbelt cutter. Is meant to be a seatbelt cutter mainly, but I got a piece of rope here that I can use to hopefully demonstrate that it does pretty good. And that's not the thinnest rope either. It's not the thickest rope ever either, but it could be a bit sharper than it is. But it's alright, especially for the price. And you don't really notice them when you don't need them, which is good. And the knife really isn't that thick. It's not that thick in terms of with the extra tools in it, which I like a lot. The pocket clip's terrible, in my opinion. The screws don't look to be that good quality on the pocket clip as opposed to the other ones, which look pretty great, which is weird. It's skeletonized, which is, I guess, pretty good. It reduces some weight. The tension on the clip is fine. There's no problem with that. My problem with it is that there's no reversibility on this. It's tipped down left side in tension. Well, if you want the blade inwards, then it's right side too, I guess, but most people carry it with the blade facing the outside of your pocket, so when you're putting your hand into your pocket, you don't touch it. But I guess that's done because of the flipper. Putting your hand into your pocket, they don't want you to accidentally graze the flipper and halfway open it, but that wouldn't happen anyway because it's in this side of your pocket, so I don't really agree with that design decision. But anyway, the hardware other than that's pretty good quality, and the pivot's fine and everything. We'll get into the blade, I guess. It's pretty good size actually for something this small. I'm not going to put in the dimensions or anything because you can just look at Gearbest's website or whatever, or the Sanrenmu's website. Although if you search Sanrenmu, their website that shows up is actually a fake website, which is pretty funny. You can kind of tell because there's a few things on there that were never made by Sanrenmu. At least that's what I've heard anyway. I haven't actually gone on their site, but supposedly they've actually registered a domain, but they haven't actually put anything on it. You can see I've kind of used the blade. The coating actually isn't really wearing away at all. It's a pretty good coating. It's not as nice as the coating on my Benchmade Griptilian, but you can't expect that. They're using a better quality powder coat on that, obviously. So I mean, this is fine for the price, and it's pretty clean. There's no uncoated spots or anything weird like that. There's a bit of a backspacer here, but that's mostly in there just because it has to have something for these to ride on. And the liners are They're not full liners. They're technically full liners, but there's parts removed for the extra tools. It would be full liners otherwise. There's no like milled out section specifically for that, except 2 small holes in the liners around here, which I don't know what that's for. That might have been like from a previous design standpoint, because they're not large enough to be there for milling purposes. I think you can kind of see it right there. So I don't know what those are for, and this kind of just screams unfinished design. The blade has this weird swedge, which is pretty good, I guess. It's not really it's kind of a standard blade design. Dual thumb studs, as well as a awful flipper, which I'll get into that. Liner lock, it's a pretty thin liner, and it's got even milled out section to make it even thinner, which I don't even think it needed, but apparently it does. I think it does just because of the distance it has to flex, because of how thick. The knife isn't too thick overall, but it's thick for a knife this size. But it's easy to disengage, and there's not too much problem with it. And it flicks out pretty well. The issue, see, if the thumb stud works fine, it's got a pretty good detent on it, so you can get a lot of force behind it, and it will open up with authority every time that way. And it's overall pretty good. This is the worst thing in the knife, and it's the reason I don't carry it, and it's the reason I don't use it for anything other than just beating it around the workshop. This is quite honestly the worst flipper I've ever tried on a knife, and it's the worst flipper I've used so far. And the Enlin EL01 isn't that great. I've got it over here, so you can kind of compare. This is a similar, I mean, scaled up obviously because this is a way larger knife, but in scale this is about the same size flipper. But this is way better designed. Even though this has aftermarket washers, even sometimes you get weird things where it won't fly out all the way unless you do it pretty well. Flippers are not that hard to get right, which is funny because Sanrenmu 7076 supposedly has a great flipper. I don't own that yet. I plan on ordering one in the future, but they just dropped the ball with this. It never works. Like, even when you really hard push button it, it doesn't want to fly out. With some wrist action, it barely even works. There it does, but you shouldn't have to do that. And like, it didn't even get there that time. It looked like it did. Let me see if I can get it once. There we go. It's appalling, like, and it's terrible. The main issue with it is not only that it's terrible, but when you're holding the knife and pressing the thumb stud, it gets in the way of holding it in almost any grip. And to be honest, I'm planning on just removing it with something. I might just do that at some point. If I cared at all about this knife, I'd probably do that, but I probably won't end up bothering because I've got better things to do. This is a terrible, terrible flipper. So that's all I can pretty much say about that. The steel, I have no idea what steel this is. Sanrenmu is terrible with putting this steel on their knives. This is like 05 or something. It holds an edge alright. I don't think it had a great edge out of the box, and I've kind of been using it pretty hard, like cardboard. I cut a lot of cardboard with this. A bunch of like hard plastic and stuff, and so I can't expect there to be much of an edge. I can do a quick cutting demonstration if it's got any edge left at all, but I have to resharpen it. I just bought a sharpening stone, so like, it's so dull. It's terrible. It's like to the point of being unsafe, so I'll have to resharpen that after the video. But it doesn't usually come that bad. That's just because I haven't sharpened it at all. But anyway, overall, it's not a bad knife. It's just there's way better options. If you're in a place where autos are legal and you can afford a Benchmade triage and you actually do rescue work, buy that. It's way more effective, and you're using this for any kind of... It's too cheaply made. I mean, it's not a bad knife in terms of being... It's not really cheaply made, but it's too cheaply made for what it's meant for. Like, you can't depend on a $20 knife in a rescue situation. Realistically, especially, you have to know this glass breaker is going to work, and you got to make sure that these are made of high quality steel, so they're always sharp when you need them. And yeah, you can sharpen them and it's not too bad, but you still can't really expect this to function well for rescue, which is what it's made for, it seems, because of this weird seatbelt hook. And the glass breaker. I mean, you can unscrew the glass breaker, which I'll probably do because I don't think there's any point to it, and it's kind of pointed, and there's a slight chance I'll poke myself with it and be annoyed. And there's just no point in it, and I could probably like screw it onto something else and have it be much more effective. Have a spare glass breaker tip for something. Overall, I wouldn't recommend this at any price, pretty much. If you want something for like $3, it's on sale like for what I paid for it, go ahead. It's alright for the car or something, if you just want some small knife to have around to open packages, but it's not a fun knife to use, and it's overall not very good. The liners are black coated as well. It doesn't feel like a good powder coating though, overall. Like, it seems pretty durable, but it just doesn't scream quality like some of the other stuff, like the 7010. This is worth 20 of these. Like, this is so much better. I'll have a full review on this at some point, but if you're gonna buy SRM, don't buy this thing. Just buy like 10 of these. Or you can buy one of it. You pay like a couple bucks more for this thing, but this thing's so much better. There's no comparison. And this comes in like 5 different colors and designs and stuff. All the designs this comes in look terrible. This is the best looking of the lot. It looks, I don't even know what this is supposed to look like. The other designs look terrible too. They're like orange and whatever, and it just doesn't look good. It looks whatever. Whoever Lian Gang is, I feel sorry that he designed this, because it's not a very good design, and he probably knows that. Not to bash on whoever that guy is, because I'm sure he's made some other things, and I know he's designed like some of the real steel knives, which are not bad for Sanrenmu, but this is definitely the worst Sanrenmu knife I've ever tried. And worst Chinese knife overall that I've ever tried that's not like a $2 gas station special. But anyway, this thing sucks. And yeah, next video will be something different. But don't buy this. Thanks.